Rio Hondo Prep football is one of the best kept secrets in all of Southern California. As one of the smallest enrollments year in and year out, the Kares have won 15 CIF championships and have been one of the most successful programs throughout their history. Welcome to A Charge to Keep, the official podcast of Rio Hondo Prep football. And now, bringing you the latest news and content from his alma mater, a CIF champion in 2001 from the class of 2003. Here's your host, Matt Persima.
What is up, Rio Hondo Prep football fans? Welcome to another episode of A Charge to Keep. I hope everyone is doing well out there and is enjoying the summer and these new episodes, the new season, if you will, the summer kickoff countdown, if you will, something like that. We've had graduation already. We've had, said bye to the seniors. And here we are in the summer of 2024, a few short months away from defending the CIF Southern Section Championship that was won just a few months ago. Still feels like yesterday, quite honestly. It's hard to believe that was way back around Thanksgiving time. So here we are in the summer. Sun is shining. We had some gloom here not too long ago, as we do record these things pretty far in advance. But I just wanted to say happy summer to everyone, and hopefully, summer's a great time. You're off. You're maybe some family vacations and stuff, and before you know it, it's time to start practicing football, whether it's with pads or in passing leagues or whatever. I know the boys are working hard behind the scenes, getting a lot of lifts in, a lot of workouts there down on campus, and we'll be sure to get some content out soon regarding the boys working out, and not just that, but also to give you guys a little view of the updated facilities there. So that is part of the plan here this summer. Again, the first half of the summer, talking to some of my old coaches from Kare Youth League who really inspired me back in the day, 25, 30 years ago almost, to, not only do well in Kare Youth League, but to follow in the footsteps of our heroes back then, the Rio Hondo Prep student athletes, which we later became, and then became, the old man before you know it. So it's a cycle. I wouldn't say it's a vicious cycle. It's a great cycle, really, to be that Kare Youth League kid, then to be the Rio Hondo Prep student athlete, and then to be a member of the alumni, and to kind of relive it all again, whether you're coaching kids again, like a lot of these young men do after graduation or during their high school experiences. It's just really fun to document and to put out there. So again, this podcast for the first few weeks, I should say, we're going to be talking to a lot of my former coaches, former Rio Hondo Prep players. So we're going to hear their stories as well. And just get us in the mood, really set the tone for the summer, throughout the summer, and give you guys something to listen to on Friday nights as well, as you prepare for being very busy in Friday nights starting, well, I can't say August 24th because our first game is a Saturday again, but hey, it is what it is. You get the idea. Friday night lights, basically all summer long here on the Charge to Keep podcast, getting us all ready. So our guest today is one of my former coaches, and someone that has a very strong connection even currently to the Rio Hondo Prep football program. I'll tell you all about that when we bring him on. But we're going to be joined by the first coach I ever had in Kare Youth League, and that is Mr. Greg Bolinger. He has been one of the executive directors of Kare Youth League, or I may have messed up that title, but he's kind of been in charge of the Kare Youth League program as a whole for a long time. He coached me in the Glendora Gators back when he founded the Glendora Gators. We'll talk to him about that. I was only with him 1 year, my second grade year, as my first year in Kare Youth League, but 3 championships that first year. I'm just saying, got off to a great start. Football, baseball, soccer. I mean, it was a good time. And we were coached. Our assistant coach was Wally Ashby, who was a teammate of Mark Carson, our fearless leader, our head coach of the Rio Hondo Prep Cares. They were teammates back then. Wally Ashby, we're going to have him on the podcast too at some point, I think. Wally still is a big Rio Hondo football supporter, Rio Hondo Prep athletics supporter. So we should have him on soon. But Mr. Bolinger, as he will always be to me, one of my very first leader, picked me up in that school bus that first day at Foothill Christian. I remember it all. all well. And that first practice got to kick some field goals. I mean, it was a good time, really good time. And just kind of, I found out what Wingate Park was, and it was just like, okay, this is going to be home for a long, long time. So we'll bring him on the program here shortly. But I want to say about Mr. Bolinger, very strong connection again to RHP football. Not only was he on 2 championship teams himself, he was a sophomore on that infamous 1977 game, the triple overtime thriller, a sophomore who made a very big tackle on the goal line to prevent the opponent from going up 2 scores in the fourth quarter. That was probably what he is most known for. Had a great senior year. I think he was a tailback on that 79 championship team that just kind of blew everybody out. So we'll hear about that. And he was also the water boy on the first Rio Hondo championship team in 1973. We celebrated them again last summer, but I'll talk to him about that because he was a part of that celebration and everything. So we'll hear about that. He has some family connections, a lot of them through marriage, we'll say, to the Rio Hondo Prep football program, past and present, which we will get to with him. But I just wanted to say a few things about him there, him coming on the program. Again, a deep connection to Rio football and somebody that has done a lot for Kare Youth League, and an honor to talk to him today as we get ready for another fun season of Rio Hondo Prep football. And so we're going to go back in time a little bit, go down memory lane, talk about his days, maybe talk about his thoughts on Rio football, what it means, and kind of that unique connection to the Kare Youth League program that has existed for quite some time. Let's now get to him. The first coach I ever had in Kare Youth League back in 1992, I want to say, 2nd grade. The Gator, we were the Bs back then, DCB, your kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. And then once you got past that, you were AA, AAA. So the Gator Bs of 1992. Hard to believe it's been that long, but yeah, here we are doing the podcast now. Let's now bring him on the program, Mr. Greg Bolinger. All right, as promised, we are now joined by Greg Bolinger, the program director of Kare Youth League, and once upon a time, the founder of the Glendora Gators. My first leader in Kare Youth League is a deep connection to Rio Hondo football. We're going to go down memory lane and get into all of it. Mr. Bolinger, what's going on?
Not too much. It's a busy Saturday here when we're recording and doing our baseball championships, and just looking forward to the summer and doing all the activities we do.
See, I hope people understand and can appreciate the Charge to Keep podcast. I was able to grab Greg Bolinger, the program on baseball championship Saturday, or a Saturday during the Kare Youth League season. He made time for us today, guys. I hope you understand the kind of pull we have here at the podcast, Mr. Bolinger. It was hard going through your agent and everything, but we got you here.
Yes, I mean I'm a dedicated viewer, Matt. Dedicated.
Yes, I know you are. And hey, with your Rio Hondo football history and background, I can totally understand that. Mr. Bolinger, let's go back to last season while it's fresh on our minds still. We're looking ahead to the next season, but we cannot start this conversation off before we kind of recap what we saw last year. In my opinion, it was one of the greatest Rio Hondo team efforts ever. And it started in the summer around this time when I just happened to mention something off the top of my head. I did the math and was like, hey, this is the 50-year anniversary of our 1973 championship team, the first team ever to do it. Wouldn't it be cool if we were able to full circle win the championship? And wouldn't you know it? That's what happened. So you have a connection actually to the 73 team. We'll talk about it in a second. But first, your thoughts on the 2023 CIF champions.
Oh, well, that was just an exciting season. I had a couple of nephews on the team, Colby and Landry, but besides that, it was just especially I think back to the first game of the playoffs against St. Margaret's. That was just an amazing Rio Hondo Prep game. I mean, I think if anybody that was there or watched it just sat back and would it just made you beam with pride, being a Rio Hondo Prep alumni and seeing what the men did out on the field and the coaches and how they just grind the game out. And it was just amazing to watch. and just so proud of them. And then being at the championship game, Santa Monica. I mean, we're playing Santa Monica High. It's like
It doesn't
never would
sound
have
right.
dreamed in a million years when I was playing in high school that we would play a team like Santa Monica High, and that was a really good team, and they were no slouches at all, and we just kept fighting, and things went our way, and then the play at the end, and then it was just amazing to be there.
It was like if we were directing a movie, which the podcast I just started, I figure, oh, this will be fun. Some people will post some scores of games. It was almost like, I don't know, you couldn't have written a better script. Like, if we put all this together, which we've recorded and documented, no one would believe this actually happened last year, and it really it
That
did.
is true.
It's just like,
Yep.
no, it actually did. Watch this.
It's almost like a Hoosiers or something. It was pretty amazing.
I mean, you asked for it, you got it. I mean, we got being on the road, taking on big schools, guys injured, coming back and making this big return, making the biggest plays of the season. Us running the ball, however many times we did in that opening game, grinding out on defense. I mean, guys injured, guys coming back. I mean, there was just so many things that season. That playoff run, it was a blur. It still feels like yesterday. And when that ball hit the ground on that 2-point conversion, I was just like, wait, there's no way that just happened. I mean, what that was what? Well, I don't know. First of all, the viewing on that field that night was hard to see. Where were you sitting or standing in regards to the stadium?
Well, it's interesting you asked me that because at first, so there wasn't any place to sit on our side of the field, really.
Yeah.
So I went with some friends, and we were sitting actually on the visitor's side, and then that side really filled up. So, and my wife and I got tired of sitting next to the other team's fans. So we ended up the second half, we ended up in the far end zone area, watching from over there. So we got to see when Josh Taflinger catches the pass from Alex. We were right there to see him catch it and go in the end zone. But
the eruption down there at our crowd. I mean, everyone will remember forever when you hear Mustaine to Taflinger. Everyone will know what you're saying. 50 years from now. That was awesome. I don't want to get too much into the atmosphere there, but a great night for Rio Hondo Prep. And you mentioned that first playoff game. It was a week prior to that, the final game of the regular season, where we had quite a ceremony, an evening, we'll say, for the 1973 champions. Guys came from all over the country for it. Mr. Dowd was there. Mr. Dowd raised that blue trophy. I got chills when I saw that. The actual game ball from 73 was there apparently as well. And then I remember seeing you amongst the guys, and I was like, wait a minute, this was before your time. What are you doing, Mr. Bolinger? So how did you get the prestigious honor of being with those guys that night?
Well, I'm because I was in the picture, right? In the championship picture, I was wearing the oversized red jacket. Because I was wearing, it was the red jackets that the varsity guys would wear, like over their shoulder pads and uniform. And we got to wear it when we were water boys, and it was just like an amazing special thing. Like, you felt so cool being in the extra large jacket, and that when your arms, you can't even see your hands or anything, but it was like the coolest thing, right? So I was in the pictures. So one day I just got an email from I think it was Jay Lindemann, one of the guys on the team that was putting it together. And he invited me, and of course I knew I was going to be here anyway, right? So, it was so exciting. Before the game, we went out to eat as a group, and just meeting everyone. And even though I wasn't part of the team, they all kind of accepted me, and it was really great.
Well, that had to be cool for you because, like you said, they get to do all the reminiscing. You had a front row seat to it because you didn't really probably have too much to add as the water boy, although the memories, and I'm sure even then, those guys at your age as a water boy, those guys had to be, I will say, almost heroes to you amongst a lot of younger RHP kids or Kare Youth League kids at the time.
Right. That is correct. They were definitely who we looked up to. It was just amazing being on the field. It was such a privilege just to be the water boy, right? Because you're just standing next to the people you idolize, and you see all the intensity out on the field and everything. And it's just, I think it within me, it kind of laid a seed within me. It's like I want to do that when I'm in high school, and it was important for me to have that seed planted into me. And so it was really exciting.
And that is one of the unique cycles really with Rio Hondo Prep and Kare Youth League. I mean, it's been going on 50 something years now where as kids, you go to games and you're looking at these student athletes, they're larger than life, and you think, man, I want to do that someday. Then you get to do it. And then afterwards, then you're the alumni looking back at it all and kind of reliving it, or maybe your kids or whatever go through it. So it's a beautiful cycle. I think it's one of the most unique things about Kare Youth League and Rio Hondo Prep is that cycle that you see constantly. And the inspiration. I remember when I went to games, I can't wait to wear the Rio Hondo uniform and to get to do it as well. So yeah, that 73 celebration we did at that game, that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen for, say, a Rio Hondo pregame or halftime. All those guys came from all over the country for that thing, Mr. Bullard, right? I mean,
Hawaii,
Ohio,
Georgia, just everywhere.
Yeah. And it was it was neat to see because we do the math. Okay, 50 years ago, these guys were 16 and 17, so that makes them we won't say, but the looks in their eyes were like they were reliving it all, and just it was so special to see when they went in the locker. I got to see this when they were in the locker room with the current team before the game. Oh man, that was special. That was chills. I don't care who we were playing that night. We would have beat anybody in the country that night with the inspiration they gave to our young men. It was really neat.
Yeah, I didn't experience that part, so I'll have to wait a couple of years. I'm anxiously awaiting my chance to actually really experience it as a player. So
yeah, it was real. Oh man, it was just really cool. And I mean, Mr. Martin came by and he thanked me, and I'm like, wait a minute. All I did was do the math here and then talk to you in the summer, to you, a few teammates. You guys threw up through the celebration and got everyone out there. I never could have envisioned not only a championship, but us doing something so special for that 73 team. But man, that was really neat. And again, to talk to Mr. Dowd on a podcast as well, to talk about it, that was truly an honor as well. So I'm bouncing around. I'm all over the place, but it's hard not to get excited about just some fun memories and some fun moments from a season and just Rio Hondo Prep football in general. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, I can just tell you, it's so important to me that I have the picture right on my wall here in my office. The picture of the old picture from when I was the water boy and the new one that we took on the field, and it was a very special night.
That's really neat. That's just, I could see it right now. Like what, the Sandlot, right? The end of the movie when he's got the different photos and stuff in there, man.
Yeah.
Hey, after the water boy days there, you then became a player at Rio Hondo, and you had two very unique experiences. You were on two championship teams, the first two 8-man championship teams, I might say. As a sophomore, you got to play in the infamous 1977 triple overtime thriller. You made one of the biggest plays in that game. I don't know how many plays you played in that game, if you were supposed to be in or what the deal was, but talk to me about 1977, and I'll just call it the tackle, the Mike Jones type of tackle that you made.
That's very funny to me, because when I was a sophomore, I was not the most aggressive person in the world. So to make the tackle is very funny to me. but yeah, I was a sophomore. We are on the JVs. I played on the JVs all year, and then for the playoffs, they had a few of us come up, and I was one of them. And I remember before the final game, I mean, I got to play in a decent amount of the other playoff games because we had, once we got ahead, we stuck in the JV guys like me, right? But before it was in the afternoon that day, and I remember Coach Dowd was at that time, he was our defensive back coach, and he came up to me and he said, you never know when you're going to get a chance to play in this game tonight, or if you're going to get a chance, but you want to make sure you're mentally ready at all times to be ready to make a play in it. And I remember thinking, because at the time I was thinking, I'm not going to be playing in this game. but then, he kind of made me think about it. It's like, yeah, there might be some time where I do get in for some reason. Maybe somebody gets hurt.
And to paint a picture for those who don't know, this is probably under 5 minutes left. Montclair Prep is up by 7, and they are going in inside the 10-yard line, and they're about to go up 2 scores on us, on Rio, and just pretty much seal the championship game at the time. Yeah.
So earlier in the game, Coach Johnson had actually taken Dave McClellan, who was in my class, but he was actually starting at cornerback. So they completed a pass on his side, and Mr. Johnson was mad about it, right? So he took him out of the game and stuck me in just for one play so he could yell at Dave. Okay. So I go in there, and then that play, they run it, and the guy kicks it out to my side, and I miss the tackle, and he goes in for a touchdown, right? And then he just left me out there, and they ended up running that same pass play that they had on Dave, but that was like the one thing I was going to stop, right? And somehow I knocked the pass down. So I kind of got redeemed a little bit. And then at the end of the point that you're talking about, towards the end of the game, I think he stuck me in because I think he thought they were going to do that pass again. And so I went in, and I was just worried about the little look-in pass to the split end that they were going to probably do, right? And then all of a sudden the play starts, and they're not doing that. They're running right at me. And I just kind of, like I told you, I'm not the most aggressive guy in the world. So I just kind of go in and kind of dive at the guy's knees, try to like kind of a body block tackle. And he goes down, and there's still a lot of people watch and rewatch the film, because it's really close to whether he's in or not when he falls down, whether he's in the end zone or not. And I just remember thinking, like, there was a split second where I thought he was in, and I was just like, I just blew the whole game. And then I look at a couple of guys on the team, and they're like pointing, he doesn't make it. And then I look on the other side, and the official's running in, and he's saying, no, he got stopped short. And I was just like, the guys on the team were excited, and I was just totally relieved, because I thought I had just blown the game. And instead, like we stopped him on that play. It was the 4th down play. And then we have the famous, we drive down the field a while doing all the Scott Weidman quarterback sneaks. And then we do the fake quarterback sneak to Chuck Mariotti, and he runs for a touchdown, and the rest is history.
There are some great lessons there. Many great lessons. First of all, not being, that physical guy. But you know what? I've heard in a book somewhere that, Moses wasn't a very great speaker, right? And but he got to he ended up doing just that, and leading people out of Egypt. Mr. Johnson puts you in to defend a pass, and wouldn't you know it, you stop someone on a run. So it's kind of like never say never, and also like, hey, maybe the things we think we're weak at, we seek strength from a higher power in. So I don't know. I love that story and hearing it from you, and just the different emotions you went through, and especially the last part, like, oh, you were just relieved. I know exactly what you mean there.
Yeah,
What a special, special
it was
night.
fun. It's a good memory.
Well, Mr. Bolinger, we got big technology here in 2024. We're pulling up your the play, if you will, if
All
I can
right.
get it to work here. So this is fourth. Let's see, this is third down. Montclair, they get down to, looks like to be the 2-yard line where the play ends there. And fourth down, here we go. We'll pause it. 4th and goal from the 2. You are, for those watching, I think you're out here as a defensive back. And they run to the right, and there's a gaping hole. It sure looks like he's going to score. And then you kind of come out of the screen here. Let's see. Here runs the play. And you get just enough on him. We'll get a better look here here's the slow motion from the opposite sideline. Oh, I could see why you would think he scored as the guy making the tackle.
Yeah,
I mean, a
he
lot of
kind of hits the ground, and then he hits the ground, and then kind of bumps forward. So very close though.
I'm watching your body language. Yeah, everyone's celebrating. You're just kind of looking around one more time. You're like, huh? Everyone's celebrating. You're like, huh? Wait, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Great job. Anyway, I just wanted to pull it up. The infamous tackle from the 77 game. That's how close Montclair was. Yeah, his knee hits and then he falls into the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
What's funny is you can't explain the tension of this situation at the time.
Oh yeah.
Man.
I mean, we knew that the whole game was on the line on that play for sure.
And Mr. Johnson, let's see. So here we go. We'll just see the final play, the play that ties it, if you will. The great close up here of Scott Weidman and your future father-in-law, Randall Johnson, I might add, here. 4th and 2 right there, talking on the
yeah,
sideline.
right there. Yeah.
Here's the play. Through the legs. Where's the ball? It's over here. He has the first down. Mariotti with the dive. Oh man.
It never gets old.
No. That sideline and those bleachers just where you were at there had to be just amazing.
It was, yeah. He ran right by us.
So just to paint a picture for everybody, yeah, Rio stops them on the 1-yard line, half-yard line. Then they go all the way up the field, score on that 4th down play, tie the game, send it to overtime, and then 3 overtimes later, Rio Hondo Prep is your 77 CIF champions. I know that you were just a sophomore on that team, but if you could speak for the seniors and the juniors even, and even the guys who had just graduated, Mr. Bolinger, what that game meant to those guys, because Montclair Prep up until then had really had Rio's number, and just how significant that game was, winning the first 8-man championship.
Yeah, so I know the guys that were the seniors the year before had, lost a tough game to Montclair. And it was something that we just remembered, and it was just so close, and they were so close to having that championship that it was just like we didn't want to, we wanted to get it that next year really bad, especially against Montclair. So, and I think it meant a lot to the alumni as well with us.
Yes, absolutely. And man, to do that as a sophomore, I want to kind of I want to kind of tie this into this upcoming season, if you will. This is just kind of what I do as a, member of the media now. So, as a sophomore, you win the biggest game of your life, the biggest experience. Man, we have a lot of sophomores from this 2024 team. They're going to be seasoned juniors now going in. Man, how do guys like that stay hungry after winning a championship in as sophomores, knowing you got 2 more years of high school left? You were fortunate to then win another one your senior year, but I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say? When you achieve something as a sophomore, how do you then, okay, we want more of this, or not be kind of not be content?
Yeah. So I don't really think that was a problem, at least for us, because we were very competitive and we did not like losing. So I think it was just that way in all the sports. And, football ended up being the one that we were the most successful at. But I just think we just didn't like losing. Oof. So like the next year when we lost to, I think it was Marshall. We lost to Marshall in the semifinal game or the quarterfinal game or something like that. That just, it just really left a bitter taste in our mouth. And so when I was a senior, when we came in that year, I mean, we were just totally dedicated to it. We did stuff to the locker room. We in the summer, we ran 2 miles together. During the week, we were just really dedicated to it. And we didn't work out on, the weights and stuff like they do now. We just, but we did some of the other stuff, and so when we were seniors, we were pretty focused on what we wanted to do.
You went the extra mile, which I think a lot of guys do in the summers with those successful teams. There's 2 championship teams in Rio I don't know a ton about. I've learned a little bit about the 82 team and kind of how they went to 3 straight finals. And 82, I believe they were undefeated. Dave Guerrero, of course, quarterback in those teams. But I don't know a ton about 1979, except very dominant season. And I got to tell you, Mr. Bolinger, this is your 79 team. You guys really have a feather in your cap. You guys got to beat Pasadena Poly in a championship game. That is so sweet. I got to tell you.
That was extra special.
Yeah.
We didn't get to play. The only thing that wasn't special about it was we didn't get to play at home. We had to play at San Marino High School. Because Poly, their priority on football, is pretty low because they don't have a stadium of their own like we do. But anyway, that was very well said. That was a very that was a minor shot. I would put it a lot of different ways, but hey, that was very kind of you. I see what you're saying. Yes, okay.
I would probably say it worse, but anyway, go ahead.
But anyway, yeah, that was a fun night. I actually got hurt in the championship game. So I only got to play so I only played like the first quarter, I think. And then I sat out most of the game, but in the fourth quarter, Mr. Johnson put me in just so I could score one more touchdown. I played one more play, caught a pass in the end zone, and that's how I finished my football career.
Love it. Love it. Another championship. And talk to me about the team specifically, if you would. I know you were a tailback. I know Joe Parker was on that team, but if you would talk to me about some of the names, maybe who was the quarterback and maybe a top defensive player, just anything you like, if you could, about some of your teammates and players.
Yeah. So the backfield, we had Ed Morales was quarterback, and then Dave McClellan was fullback, and I was the tailback. Let's see, our linemen, we had like Del Kirby, of course, we had and Jerry Sullivan, and Joe Parker was the tight end. Byron Candle was the guard. Jay Winley the tackle, and then we had Phil Horton and Steve Calver rotating in plays from split end, so they would just they bring in a play, and then the next guy would come in. That's how we got our plays, and we didn't single in from the sideline or anything. We had to bring an actual person in there.
Yeah. No secrets. Yeah. All right. Your turn. Tag, you're it. Yeah. Phil Horton, I forgot on that team.
And then defense, right? The defensive side, it was all the same guys, except we had defensive positions.
Yeah. That's really funny. I was gonna mention about that. Sorry, you mentioned a name and I was like, oh, wait a minute. 79, the tackle guard. Name those
Byron, Jay,
and tight end. Anyway, it'll come to me. I forgot. No, there was something. I was like, wait a minute, right there. I had an idea. It'll come back to me like 20 more minutes. But just a special group, and that's what it was. Jerry Sullivan, a teammate of yours. I believe he was. I don't know if it's past or not, but he was for a long time like the all-time leading tackler at Rio Hondo.
Oh yeah, so he was probably a freshman that year, I'm guessing.
Wow.
And he played. He did some center, and he probably didn't play a lot, that particular year. But yeah, after that, he was one of the best defensive players we've had. Yeah.
Monster. And then you would later, his son ended up playing with my brother on the Gators. Small, fun fact there, Darren Sullivan, who later was on a championship team as well, the first 11-man championship in school history. So it's all pieced together, all these moving parts sometimes.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, if you had to sum up your Rio Hondo football career, what the experience was like, just overall, it's been a long time ago, but you got not only some hardware, but some very fond memories, it sounds like.
Yeah, I tell anybody if you like sports, if you're okay at school, and you basically want to do what's right, there's no place like Rio Hondo Prep for your child, because the experience they'll get there in playing all the sports with all the same people, making all the amazing friends you make, being able to have coaches like you can get there that actually care about you, and not just about you playing football, but care about you as a person and coach you in all the different sports, and just getting a chance to hear about God, go on the summer trips. I mean, it's just there's nothing like it. Nothing like it.
Oh, yeah. And it's not much has changed. I mean, some things change over time, but just the general philosophy and all the things you're saying, it's kind of like what we hear from the current players, talking to them on the weekends of the post-game shows. If you would, they've all passed away since then. I like talking to the older players about the coaches that were so impactful on the field. You shared a great message about message from Coach Dowd that he told you the day of that game, but specifically Randall Johnson, Gary Lunny, Oric Hampton. These are legends of the Rio Hondo program, and I always want to pay them the respect that they earn. And just if you have any memories or words of that you'd like to share from your experiences with those men that helped get so many of us ready for life.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, Mr. Dowd was my very first coach when I joined Kare in first grade. He was my football coach, and I remember there was one play where I looked over to the sideline and I saw my parents and I waved to them, and Mr. Dowd saw me, and he took me out of the game because I wasn't paying attention, and I learned a valuable lesson that day. And then I got to have him, as a coach in high school. So that was amazing. Obviously, Mr. Johnson, as you said, I married his daughter, but he was my coach when I was young for, most of the time while I was on Indian. And I was always just amazed at how he coached us, and his mind, and how amazingly intelligent he was, and how sports savvy he was. and just he was always very when it came to challenging us, he was always very quiet about it, and didn't make a big scene. But there's quite a few times I can think of where he kind of pulled me aside and just kind of challenged me on something, and just made a real difference in my life. So that was amazing. And then, wow, you mentioned Mr. Lenny. I mean, so many funny memories of Mr. Lenny. He made the funniest comments sometimes. I wish I could think of one right now. When I remember he said, send my grandmother in for somebody.
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
we've all had his grandmother subbed in for us. My
Yeah,
grandmother
yeah,
in for Herkimer,
yeah.
my grandmother in for Bolinger.
Yeah. So he was amazing. And then Mr. Ork, he he was the one that kind of ended up at the very end, like kind of bringing me to the Lord. So I always will be grateful to him.
Wow. Yeah. Three men that impacted so many lives. And when you can't talk about Rio Hondo Prep football without saying their names. And so I like to honor those guys every chance we get. I got in at the very end of Mr. Johnson's career, and he didn't. I was a JV, I think his last varsity year, and we were in a practice, and I messed up a pitch like 2 times in a row. And I just remember like this, I was a freshman. This is Mr. Johnson, just talking, and he just calmly said something like, we can't move on to other things until you figure this out, or something. It was something subtle like that. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. Like, just thinking this is the legend. And then anyway, he retired shortly after that. And yeah, just any circles from CIF, you talk about Randall Johnson from his times working with CIF or 8-man football and all that. Nothing but respect for that man. And again, I bring it up because you married into the Johnson family, and yeah, the football royalty family, if you will. I always told Colby that, it's Colby and the guys playing ball. So, well, good times. You can't say it enough. Rio Hondo football, the experiences. Don't, Mr. Bowen, all your teammates and everything. I know it's been a while, but I'll pull something for sure. But I don't know. I want to go back out there again and play with my teammates one more time. I know it's impossible, but I get that itch sometimes when I see my friends. I'm just like, let's go do it again.
Yeah, I feel like if our 79 team gets together sometime, 50-year anniversary, I just want to go out and run one play. That's what we used to always do at the pep rallies. Like the day of the game, we'd have the pep rally, and we would go out and we do our first play of the game, and we do it in front of the students and everything, and then we'd go out and do it at the game, right? So I just want to do one play.
That's it. Just give me one more snap. That's all I ever want. One more snap. Oh man.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have to all take the pads off for the last time eventually, and we move on to things. I don't know what, but football was life and death back then. Let's talk about something you participated in, or kind of really led the charge in after high school. I know there were some college years and this and that, but sometime in the late 80s, you, and I don't know the genesis of it or exactly how it all came about, but you and Dan Davis ended up founding the Gators, which was a new team in Kare Youth League, an expansion team, if you will. But it was out east. It was away from Arcadia. And if you would just take me to the beginning of all the time frame it took, if people were like, oh, this is a bad idea, we don't need to expand, or kind of, I want to remind everybody on the East that, hey, Cardinals, Tigers, you guys, Gators were the first out here, just to let everybody know. So,
that is right.
So anyway, talk to me about that, the expansion and the creation of the Gators.
Okay. So basically it was interesting because I had a feeling that it's just kind of like what I needed to do, like what I was supposed to do with my life was start something somewhere else than Arcadia. And then one day just out of chance, I happened to be working with Dan Davis, who I didn't know really at the time. I just barely knew him. We were working together on something, and we both kind of mentioned this, and he had the same feeling that I had. So actually, the next day, we went to Mr. Ostergaard. We told him, what was on our hearts, and he said, well, I think you should go for it. So we started looking for spots in the Covina area, and eventually more people got involved, like Craig Klingman, and we went out and we started the Gators in Glendora. John Martin helped us a little bit, and so yeah, I remember the very first day. It was so nerve-wracking. We didn't know who was going to show up, and then all of a sudden there were like, I don't know, like 35 first grade boys there, and it was just an overwhelming experience. But it was amazing to be a part of.
And what year was this? Was this 88 or 89?
It was actually 83.
Oh, it was that much earlier? Oh,
1983. Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was late. Okay, interesting. I thought it was a little later than that. Well, that's cool. Yeah, the 80s
Like
there, and
baseball
then
season. Yeah.
baseball. Yeah, baseball.
Yeah.
And you guys started at the Stanton School, I believe.
Right. We started at Stanton School, and then we were there for about a year, and then Jim Key got involved, and he wanted to start a team as well. So, and then he went to the city of Covina, and that's when we got permission to use Russell Park, Wingate Park, and then he started the Tigers, and with Jim Davis, and so yeah, we went to the park. I remember going to the park the first time, and there's like gopher holes everywhere. It was run down. The grass was like as high as my head. The weeds and stuff. You could see where old baseball fields probably used to be. There were a few. There was a couple of backstops all rusted out, and there was even a couple of home plates still there. And so it was the summer, and we wanted to play soccer. So we got hand lawnmowers and went out there and mowed out this rectangle so we could play soccer out there, and started playing in the summer. It was an exciting time.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Wingate Park and how you discovered, because I'm sure, you're looking for, a home field basically, and Jim Key. So had you guys like driven by and saw it and then went to the city, or was this something the city of Covina was like, hey, there's a place over here if you guys want, or how did that all go down?
I think actually what happened is like Jim, like if you were to look at a map and you were to see Covina and Glendora and different areas, and you circled an area in the middle, that's right where Wingate Park is. And so I think Jim just saw it as an opportunity. Plus it was all abandoned, nothing like it is today. No parking lots. It was all dirt. It was just dirt everywhere. And Jim just went to the city and said, hey, can we play there? We'll fix it up, right? And I think that's all that happened.
And as punishment, as a reward for fixing up the park and creating it and making it into this great family atmosphere, then the city of Covina years later is like, hey, we're going to take over this now. We're going to remodel it and do everything. And so Kare Youth League has had, or Wingate Park has had multiple renovations there. And it all started. It's like, wait a minute, this is our place. We cleaned it up. Now you guys want it. So anyway, that's
that's okay. They can jump in later. That's okay.
Yeah. No, but like for me, joined in 92. I mean, who doesn't remember the all dirt parking lot as you drove, just dust everywhere. You mentioned gopher holes, as a gift and a curse, because for young boys, hey, that was fun running around, trying to kill gophers in various ways. They weren't encouraged by our coaches. We just kind of did that on our own. The creek and jumping in the water. Wingate Park was, the offices that were like the trailers and the club rooms. I mean, the creek. I mean, come on, that for a young boy, that was heaven on earth. I got to tell you.
Yeah, they had those little, I don't know if you got to experience that, but there used to be like little mini frogs that would come out of there, and they'd be like all over the place. And guys, kids would they'd catch them, and they'd have frog races, and usually the frog would end up dead, unfortunately, but
Oops, sorry.
yeah.
Sorry. Hey, well, that's such is life in the animal kingdom.
Yeah.
Gator, you put gators, cardinals, and tigers out in the wild. You never know what, we're carnivores, right?
Yeah, it's a dangerous spot.
Yeah, Kare Youth League Wingate was the only place where guys would be like filthy before the game. Clean uniforms, go play in the creek, and you're starting a game just filthy. Just mom wasn't happy about it, but hey.
Hey, that's what they make washing machines for.
That's right. That's right. And I remember the club rooms. See, back then it was similar to Arcadia with the club rooms, where they had there's the Atlantic club room, the Coral club room. Out in the East, we had our club rooms for a short time. And I also remember a time when Kare Youth League kids didn't have club rooms out in the East. But you know what I loved? Each of the club rooms had their own wall painted with the Gator logo, or, coming out, the Cardinal logo coming out of the wall, the tiger. These are distinct memories I have. There was a great deal of pride with each organization and how their walls looked in their room. It was like Division I, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think Mr. Heaton painted that one with the Gators coming through the wall. That was the coolest. That was definitely the best club room.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. And I've talked to some guys about, our logos from the past, the Cardinal guys, and even the Indian guys. A few guys are like, man, that spear logo was just awesome. Like, I want to, a logo, put it somewhere, So those were, that was a very big sense of pride. And so we talk about these teams now in Kare Youth League, and probably current parent, they were like, don't understand this, but it was a badge of honor. And back then you went to teams based on the city you live in. The Gators were Glendora, San Dimas, Laverne, and I think a little Azusa too. I could be wrong, but eventually things changed, and the team names changed to kind of what they are now. Could you talk to me about what went into that, and kind of why they got rid of the Gators, Atlantic, and the Coral and Cardinals and all that?
Yeah. So basically, back when we felt we had to do that, there was a lot of issues going on with some of the areas. Like they didn't have enough. Some of the areas would have enough kids, other areas didn't have enough kids, and we were in a situation where we're combining Indian and Coral teams and different things like that, because there wasn't enough coming from that particular area, maybe coming from El Monte or coming from Temple City, and so we finally, it became such a problem that we felt like we had to change the way that we were developing the teams, because the only teams that were really having enough people, say, were like coming from Monrovia or something, and then there'd be boys that would want to come, and they wouldn't want to be on a team with 16 guys or something, when they could have just gone over and been on the team with 10 guys, right? Mm-hmm. So we just got to a point, I can't remember what year it was, probably around 2000 or so, but I don't remember exactly. But we just felt like we needed to be able to be more flexible with where we had, when a boy or girl came to join, what team they were on. And the ties were so strong, with the coaches on what their team was and what their and who the kids were that were on their team and where they were coming from, that we kind of had to change. We had to kind of blow that up so we could make it possible to do it. You understand? I mean, you were kind of.
So you're telling me it was like a Jackie Robinson situation where he got traded to the Giants and said, "I'm not doing that. I'm retiring." Is that what you're? Is that what you're kind of telling me?
Yeah, well, sort of. I mean, people just felt very strongly. I mean, it's like I'm a Gator coach, you're right,
Yeah.
and the Gators are Glendora and San Dimas, and that's what I am, right? And it was hard to change where people in Glendora would what team they would be on unless you kind of started over again. So yeah, it was hard. There were a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people didn't like it. But
hey, fun trivia
anyway,
fact: at one point, the Gators dissolved in the teams I was coaching. I think it was high school. Maybe I was in high school, or it had to be high school. And there's video evidence, picture evidence of me in Cardinal attire. I coached the Cardinals for a sport or two, and I got to tell you, that was difficult putting that stuff on and go out and giving our best to the kids. But I remember seeing different coaches. Mr. Shintaku, the first time I saw him in a Cardinal coaching uniform, I'm like, what is that? Mr. Heaton, Coral Cowboys. I'm like, hey, what's going on here? I mean, this was a bigger deal than NFL free agency, in my opinion, seeing that stuff back in the day.
Yeah. It was like that.
So you just, rather than try to make it work, you just rebranded it all and said, all right, let's just start over.
Yeah, we just basically had to rebrand. But that kind of thing is slowly coming back. Every year that goes by, there's more and more people that are, they're tied to their team now. The Bulldogs, the Wildcats, the Tigers, the Tar Heels. We still have those, but anyway.
Hey, we talk about cycles, and you look at movies these days are nothing but remakes. It sounds like there's a small possibility that the old team names eventually come back around. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe down the road, just to spice things up and relight some, respark some old rivalries. Come on, let's consider it. That's all I'm saying.
We'll see, Matt. We'll see.
Yeah. I will be a proud leader of the Gator, I don't know, fan club or whatever, booster club, whatever we're gonna do. Anyway, what's your people on the podcast are like, what is this obsession with the Gators and everything? But you don't know what it was like. You don't know what it was like. To this day, I don't like Pirates of the Caribbean because of the Atlantic Pirates. But hey,
that's funny.
Yes. Well, anyway, I want to talk briefly about my Kare Youth League experience. You were my first leader, my first coach back in second grade. And I told Mr. Shintaku this, but I discovered, everyone has their origin story, right? And I discovered Kare Youth League at Foothill Christian. And I saw a guy, Matt Drost, who was a good friend of mine, and he was carrying football gear. And I had played Little League Baseball a couple years before that, but this guy had actual tackle football gear. I was like, wait, that's cool. Where do you play? And then I saw the yellow bus come and get him and I'm like, I told my parents, I go, I got to do that. I got to play football. And so that's how it all started for me. And I will also say this as two parents that worked and needed the daycare and all this and that, that one of the biggest reasons I joined Kare Youth League was because they picked you up at school, took you to practice, and then took you home. And so transportation was there. So those were big factors into why I'm sitting here now talking to you. But you coached a lot of guys back in the day, Mr. Bolinger, but 1992 was a special time for me. The Glendora or the Gator bus. I believe there were even some stops at some like places for ice cream on the way to practice. I don't know. These are fond memories, but it's been a while.
We did different things sometimes. I definitely remember picking you up at Foothill Christian, Matt. I remember because there was you were very unique because there was no other boy that I would pick up, especially second grade, who would know so much about the LA Rams that would talk to me the whole bus run all the way to Wingate Park about LA Ram players, about what happened in the last game, about LA Rams. And I remember after taking you on, I think it was like the second time, and you were talking about the LA Rams, I was like, this guy has got to be my quarterback because he is so into football and sports. He's going to be amazing. He's going to be able to hand it off in the right direction. He's going to be able to do this. So
that's right. Now
I
that was the
started
best,
on that
one of the
path.
best handoff quarterbacks of all time. That's right. at any level. I'll
Well,
put it there.
I didn't know how fast you were or how strong your arm was, but I knew your mind was there. I found out a little later that maybe you weren't the quickest guy around, but that's okay.
As Mr. Shintaka, he really pioneered me in the quarterback position there. And, he taught me quite well that you better make good fakes. You better make really good fakes. Said, yep.
Yeah.
You got to outsmart him. You're not going to outrun him. So, yeah. I just remember playing the second grade, and I played like, I don't know, safety or something, come run up into the pile. And it was just so fun. You could tackle people and yeah, we had a ton of guys on our team. We had like 25 guys or something on that second grade team back then.
Yeah, I think it was right around 30 guys, and we had two different teams, and they're both teams very competitive. We had a lot of great guys on that team.
Yeah, my dad, again, to the Rams point, my dad had season tickets at the time, and we'd go to a bunch of games. And so, yeah, my stories couldn't have been that interesting. It had to be, they lost again this weekend,
It didn't matter. You were talking about guys that played positions, like you would even talk about the linemen and things. I was just like, what second grader knows all this stuff?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. You know what? Not much of my life has changed, I guess. I've kind of been the same guy for 30 years now, but that's really funny. I don't remember that as much, but so many good memories. Hey, that 1 year I was with you, 3 championships out of 4 sports. I think that's pretty good. I don't know what happened in basketball, but hey, we can't win them all.
Sometimes playing out at Wingate Park, I think I remember that was the year where it was really windy on championship day, and our shots just couldn't, we're having trouble getting in.
No, I missed the 3. I missed the 3 near the end that would have given us the lead, and I was just like, oh man, so you don't win everything. But you talk about Rio Hondo guys and assistant coaching and everything. Back then, and we're going to try to get him on the podcast, I believe, but Wally Ashby, who then went on to be a police officer after Rio Hondo and everything. He was a Rio Hondo Prep student at the time, football player, basketball, did it all. And he was coaching us as little second graders. And Coach Wally, man, that was my first assistant coach. And I remember thinking, well, not that you weren't young, but this is the young guy, the young high school guy. I don't know, fond memories. It was a short time, but I remember Wally like it was yesterday. And he was your assistant coach that year.
Yeah. Wally, he definitely was one of the best high school coaches I ever had with me. He was so into it. And, he was really reliable and loyal. And he just really got into really helping the boys. And yeah, he was fantastic.
You mentioned that you saw him a few years later out in public, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, one day I was driving the van. I was picking up somebody in Arcadia, and all of a sudden I see these police lights behind me, and I'm like, oh man, what did I do? I don't want to get a ticket now. And so I pull over, and then he comes up driving next to me, and he goes, "Hey, Mr. Bolinger, how's it going?" And I was just like, "Oh, Wally, you can't do that to me. That is not fair." But anyway.
That's a great story.
Yeah, he's great.
I could just see that. He's sitting there with like, oh, Kare Youth League bus. Let's go stop it. That's for
Oh man.
Oh, I don't know if you remember this. Maybe you do. Again, I remember 1992 LA Rams stuff, but it was one of the first Rio Hondo games I ever went to. It may have been the first. And you took us on an outing. The team is multiple teams, and there was going to be this field goal kicking contest at halftime. Well, we all went out and got to kick on the big field, kick it through the big H out there. Well, this happened to be one of the biggest rainstorms ever. It was Polly at Rio, pouring rain. Mark Carson, head coach, was on that team alongside playing with Wally Ashby. Pouring rain. We still went out there and got to kick the field goals at halftime in the pouring rain. Again, second grader, a very fond memory for me. And I think Rio lost the game, but yeah, that was so cool. Seeing football in the rain and then getting to participate on field one for the first time, kicking field goals there in a downpour. I don't know if you remember that or not. Oh, 1 second. We lost your, you went mute. Did you mute yourself? Technical help. There we go. Okay. Anyway, you're back. Do you remember that?
Go ahead.
Do you remember that game? Took a lot of kids outings and everything, but the rain game at Kare Field.
Right. So I don't remember that game, but I remember, similar experiences when I was young, seeing the game, coming to the games, at halftime, going over to the field and throwing the football around and tackling each other. And then maybe coming back for the second half, maybe not, maybe staying out there and playing. But I remember the experience at the game, and in like I said before, it's like it plants a seed in you that it's like, I want to be a part of this. And games like that are just great memories to have, and great to look ahead to what you might be able to be a part of.
Yeah, and I was just a second grader at 7 years old, and it was just like, again, so fun, such a fond memory. I think Wally went to another game, and Wally ended up hurt and on crutches, and it was just like, oh man, this is a violent game out there. But that's where the love of RHP football started for me, and a big reason I want to bring on some of my former care coaches here to discuss that, because it is a cycle. And I remember seeing them play in the rain. We got to play some rain game at Wingate Park one time. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. Just so many great memories.
Always fun.
And it's just like, rain. My dad was loving it too. He's like, no, you play football in the rain. He was, he loved that you guys didn't stop the game and all that too. So, as I mentioned, Mr. Bolinger, Rio Hondo Prep is special to you and your family, and such a big part. What was it like? You got to see two of your sons play at Rio, and for someone who had such a great career himself, what was that like watching not one but two of your sons play Rio Hondo Prep football?
So my wife's still here, so I have to be honest. I have a hard time watching my sons play because I want them to do well so bad, and I get really nervous. So it was fun when they achieved something great and getting to celebrate that with them. And it was also important to, be with them when things didn't go that well, and just the ups and downs, and just being able to see them experience that like I got to experience it, is, it's a great memory, but it is hard to, it was hard for me to watch sometimes.
At the time. So was it more of a nervous feeling, or about not necessarily about their safety, but just their success, because you put yourselves in those shoes, years before, and knowing kind of the stress and anxiety of those moments?
Right. It was not a safety thing. No.
No. Okay.
It was all, yeah. So I think, they both had wonderful experiences. My daughter had amazing experiences, playing at Rio, and they have lifelong friends. So, but it was nervous for me to watch.
Well, before they were all born, you talked about marrying Diana Johnson at the time. Now, Bolinger, your wife there. And hey, I don't know if you remember this, our second grade team, we were there. We were there at the American Savings Pavilion. That was my first Kare Youth League wedding experience. My parents were like, oh, this is different.
Yeah, that was different. Yeah, there were a lot of you guys there. It was exciting. Yeah, we just invited all the kids we coached, and their families, and
hey, fun
we had
fact,
a lot of people there.
A lot of people. And I remember my dad telling, yeah, he's marrying the daughter of like the head of the organization or something like that. But, at the time when we had just joined but I will tell you something that always stuck with me. My mom would bring it up often. Again, that was the first care wedding we were ever at. She thought was it the high school choir or maybe it was whoever, I think it was the high
Yeah,
school choir.
there was a high school choir that sang at it. Yes.
And they sang in this very room. And my mother
Wow. You remember?
thought
That's
that,
amazing. You remember
yeah,
that.
I do. And my mother talked about it often. She thought that was really cool. I think there were candles and it was yeah, a special memory for her. And so we heard about that when we talk about different care weddings. She says, man, it was so well done too. So thought I would bring that up since I had you here.
Well,
I know.
your mom was always very special to our family.
Yeah,
She gave my kids Christmas gifts, and she was
absolutely.
very special.
Yeah, and don't forget the pizza booth. The Hersom was running the pizza
Oh
booth
yeah, for sure.
at
At the
the
circus, yeah.
circuses. And again, this is, you talk about the pride factor. When it used to be at the circus events, everyone had a different food booth and it was by teams. And when they kind of stopped doing it by teams, my parents, they put their foot down, kind of like, no, we're Gator parents. Gators do the pizza booth. If we're doing anything, we're doing the pizza booth. So again, the roots run deep here.
No, that's good. That's good.
Mr. Bolinger, this has been a pleasure going down memory lane with you. I want to thank you for kind of lighting the spark for me as a young kid, Kare Youth League, and kind of here we are now with this big fire that is Rio Hondo Football and the podcast. And I know you're a loyal listener to the show as well, so thank you for that. And it has been so much fun learning a little bit too, a little bit of history of the Gators and Kare and all that. Any final thoughts either about the podcast or Rio football or anything you'd like to say as we wrap it up here?
Well, I guess I'm looking forward to this season. I think going into last season, I think people thought that this season was going to be the season that we were going to be at our peak, and then to have what happened last year. Wow, what's going to happen this year? I don't know, but I want to be there to see it.
Yes, absolutely. And I hope your son Clark is getting his voice ready. The voice of Rio Hondo Prep football there on the NFHS Network. He does a great job alongside Kyle Horton. Again, some interesting there. Your son, you played with Phil Horton. Now it's your son and Phil's son running. I don't know. I love all these tie-ins and things that Rio Hondo Prep football has. It's just interesting.
It is so enjoyable to listen to them do the broadcast. We look forward to it on Friday nights.
They're pros. And I've heard Clark did a little practicing over the years in the Bolinger household. Is that right?
Oh, for sure. He would always announce when he's playing the video games, like whatever the baseball video game is, or the soccer one, or the football one, or whatever it is. He was always announcing it, for sure. Lots of practice.
Well, I know you're a busy man. Baseball championships coming up here, or maybe they're going today, and then soccer, track. I mean, the summer's busy too. If you could just, I don't know, the current status of Kare Youth League maybe, and kind of, I know there's been some changes we don't have to necessarily talk about or can, but like just if you could kind of the state of the union of Kare Youth League. I know we always want more members and all that too, and you definitely need more leadership help as well. But as the program director, yeah, where does Kare Youth League stand today?
Oh yeah, so we're like very strong. So if you compare us to where we were about 5 years ago, we're definitely larger than when we were then. We kind of reached the peak when we came back from the when we came back from the lockdowns. We kind of came back a little bit before other programs, and it ended up being kind of overwhelming to us. We got like a bunch of children, and so it's down a little bit from where it was at that point. But yeah, if you look back about 5 years, we're actually larger than we were. And I think the main thing I would say to the alumni is that we're definitely looking for more coaches, and especially alumni types who experience the program themselves. And if you're interested in coming back and being a part of it again, we'd love to have you.
Yeah, lots of different ways to contribute, and just to kind of relive it all too, and then give back to the fun memories and moments that we all had. So it's nice seeing so many faces from the past come, and it's like their kids are playing. It's like I remember the name on the back of that jersey. Now it's a younger version of that guy playing.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Really fun to see. Mr. Bolinger,
Yeah.
thank you for everything over the years, and especially back in 1992. Appreciate everything and your contributions to Kare and Rio football. This has been a lot of fun. Looking forward to upcoming season.
All right. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate everything you do.
Sure thing. Well, fun times talking with my first leader from Kare Youth League, Mr. Greg Bolinger. There's even some things I forgot to bring up, like the Schindlinger Cup, which was the hockey tournament we do up at East Winter Camp, and man, there's a lot of fun memories. It's just sometimes the random moments pop into my head about different outings and different games from way back when. I don't know. The mind is an interesting thing sometimes, but I think I speak for so many people out there with their Kare Youth League experience and their leaders, and just this is a big reason I want to do this podcast too, is to document these things yes, in somewhat it's a commercial for Rio Hondo Football, but also Kare Youth League, and it's all connected. All this stuff is connected in some way, and I've talked about the circle, that sits behind me, right? It's kind of that circle of being that young kid, looking up to your heroes, and getting to represent people wearing the uniform, and then giving back even some more after you're done. So, Greg Bolinger done great work there with Kare Youth League, and yeah, if you can, you feel so inclined to maybe get involved a little bit, Kare Youth League, whatever it is. If you don't have time to coach, or you just want to contribute, or whatever it may be, hey, I'm sure there's different ways to contribute to the great organization that is Kare Youth League, and of course Rio Hondo Prep Football. I know there's some great donors out there who give their time and money to make the program better and a great experience for all the young men out there. So always fun catching up with an old coach, just going down memory lane, and again, the fond memories, and kind of hopefully you're understanding a little bit now about me wanting to kind of document really the spark of the love of Rio football, kind of where it started, and kind of the transition to getting to where we are today, having the Charge to Keep podcast, and why it is so important to me, and so sacred to me, if you will. So going to have more coaches on throughout the summer, more interviews. Again, as we get into July, we'll have a 4th of July special episode with someone that I think you guys will really like. And then we'll get into more stuff regarding the current team, the current activities of the team in like mid to late June. And then before you know it, we'll have content for you in real time in August, as practices will get going, and double sessions, and there'll be some other stuff throughout the season we'll talk to Coach Carson about. We'll probably have him on. We had him on at the beginning of the summer after graduation, and we'll probably have him on one other time in like the middle of the summer for kind of a midsummer update. And then we'll get into it in August and have kind of some current content and a recap of maybe some of the passing league stuff that the team has, little tournaments that they've gone through and all that, and just some of the training, kind of the status of the program. The summer, it's a process. It's a lot of football preparation. It's a lot of conditioning, a lot of lifting, and we're excited to have our young men getting ready for all that. And hopefully they're not content with last year's championship, and they're still hungry and fueled for to pursue more excellence out there. And so that's another reason I want to have content throughout the summer. I considered it this off season, like maybe we don't need shows every week all summer long, but I don't know. It's kind of like when the summer's here, sure, there's like Major League Baseball out there and everything, but I think the Rio faithfuls out there is hungry for content, to kind of this slow build to the football season. And we're not surprised all of a sudden when football's starting for us in August, like, wait, what, the season's starting? It's like, no, we've been talking about it all summer, and kind of reliving some old days, and then getting into more of the current team again as we get closer to the season. Hopefully you guys are enjoying my vision here. Sometimes my ideas are good, sometimes they are not so good, but hey, we throw it together and try to make good content here on the Charge to Keep podcast, the official podcast of Rio Hondo Prep Football. And I can promise you this, to my knowledge, I don't know of any other school that's doing what we're doing here, documenting the history of the program and also kind of building up to the new season. So we're using our powers for good, that is social media and YouTube and all those great platforms. So if you're new to the podcast, welcome, and hopefully you're enjoying this and get some insight onto the great tradition of Rio Hondo Prep football. And please give us a follow on all your social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We are on YouTube, we're on Rumble, pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can do so in audio form, but give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe to the podcast. The more followers, the better. Again, there's no charge. That is just subscribe means basically follow in a lot of these cases. So share the podcast, tell family members about this, especially you're seeing your parents out there or to any parents really of the program. If you think family from across the country or the world would like to tune in and hear kind of about what's going on, I implore you. We're gonna be putting out good content all summer long. And again, these episodes will be airing Friday nights all summer long, building up to the season. So hopefully everyone's doing well. We are in June, and before you know it, July, and then it's football's right around the corner. I'm recording these way in advance just to kind of get them together and get them ready. So if anything breaking news or any notable content pops up, I will definitely share that with you guys in some other podcasts or on social media. So be sure to stay close to those sites accordingly. Thank you, Mr. Bolinger, not just for for joining me today, but for everything back in the Kare Youth League days, and appreciate all the hard work you do behind the scenes. And to everyone else out there, enjoy the rest of the summer. We'll see you next week with another fun conversation regarding Rio Hondo Prep football and the history of it and kind of the different experiences and some Kare Youth League stuff as well, because that is honestly, it's a lot of fun. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week. And as always, guys, as your friendly reminder, no matter what you're doing, always be humble in victory and gracious in defeat, because we always have a charge to keep.
A charge to keep I have, a God to glorify, a never-dying soul to save, and fit it for the sky. Arm me with jealous care, as in thy sight to live, and thy servant, Lord, prepare a strict account to give.